Second.
John Galligan, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Welcome everyone to Mill Place Board of Education meeting. It's March 11th, 2026. Can everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands,
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a reminder, we have two emergency exits in the back of the auditorium and two in the front of the auditorium in case of any kind of emergency. Do we have any veterans here with us this evening? Do we have any media with us? Okay, Mr. Lynch, please superintendent message.
Thank you. Tonight will be the first budget workshop that will be presented later in tonight's meeting. As we enter the second half of the school year, things continue to move along for our students and our athletes. I would like to highlight some of the events and activities that have taken place since we've last met. PS I Love You Day, an anti-bullying initiative, was celebrated district-wide with different building events and activities. PS I Love You Day is observed on the second Friday in February. Students and staff were encouraged to wear purple to show unity against bullying. This year's theme was Be the Light. At Andrew Muller Primary School, the Teddy Bear Clinic, sponsored by Stony Brook Children's Hospital, is an interactive injury prevention program. The program covers safety topics, including car seat safety, passenger safety, water safety, and safe helmet use. Kindergarten students visited the Long Island Explorio in Port Jefferson that included hands-on investigations to explore science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Students in grades 1 and 2 visited the Simple Smiles to learn about proper dental health care. Andrew Muller Primary School held its annual Parents as Reader Partners Week. Each day, a new text was introduced along with reading, writing, math, movement, art, and music activities. Throughout the week, the children were encouraged to bring in used books as a donation to the Book Fairies organization. Laddie A. Decker South Beach School welcomed Rowan Murphy to speak with students and share his inspiring story. Rohan was born without legs. He spoke about working hard to become a wrestler, earning a spot on the Penn State University wrestling team, and even appearing in a Nike commercial. Rohan's message showed our students that real strength comes from a positive attitude, courage, and never giving up. The school improvement team continued the ROAR initiative, where students from each grade were selected for their Optimism Awards. At Laddie A. Decker South Beach School, students began the Panther Page Challenge. This year, each grade will work to try to read the most pages. During the kickoff assembly, students had a surprise visit from the Miller Place Panther, who cheered on our students. This challenge is an opportunity for students to develop a strong sense of teamwork as they develop a love for reading. Detective Rivera from the Suffolk County Police Department spoke with our Laddie students about the power of respect, understanding hate, kindness, and standing up for others. Fourth grade students attended the Journeys in the American Indian Territory presentations. Students engaged in a hands-on museum, which was set up in the gymnasium, along with an in-class project. The day concluded with music and a question and answer session. Fourth grade students explored and participated in a building scavenger hunt. Students worked together to solve challenging math problems in each room to unlock the clues to rescue the penguins and escape in time. Fifth grade students welcomed Miller Place High School athletes to the second visit of our Athletes Helping Athletes program. This program introduces our fifth grade students to high school role models who work with them to inspire teamwork, leadership, and encouragement. At North Country Road Middle School, nearly 75 students spent the evening diving into hands-on experiences like propeller cars, catapults, Spiro bolts, airplane aerodynamics at our secondary STEAM night on February 4th. The Miller Place High School Science Club, the Triumph Honor Society, Robotics, Lego League, Drama Club, and Student Government all provided engaging activities throughout the night. In addition, we had community partners including the New York Marine Rescue, Brookhaven National Lab, Mount Sinai Nature Center, and our local libraries. At Miller Place High School, Miller Place High School Science Olympiad team competed at the Eastern Long Island Regional Science Olympiad and placed 14th out of 66 teams, with top finishers in astronomy, dynamic planet, write it, do it, and more. Incredible teamwork, grit, and STEM excellence was on display. 10th grade students had the privilege of hearing from Jane Pashman from the organization 3GNY. Ms. Pashman's work with 3GNY brings together grandchildren of Holocaust survivors to provide a living link to their legacy. She shared the powerful story of her grandmother's life before, during, and after the Holocaust. Miller Place High School partnered with SUNY Stony Brook to offer 40 students an opportunity to participate in the Stony Brook iSTEM collaborative after-school program. Students chose from a variety of courses to enroll. The senior class recently traveled to Boston to experience its history and culture. Highlights included a town hall debate, the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum, the Museum of Science, Museum of Fine Arts, and the New England Holocaust Memorial, as well as a guided tour of the historic Fenway Park. The trip provided students the opportunity to discover one of America's most historic cities. In athletics, all 6 Miller Place High School varsity teams, boys went to track, girls basketball, traditional cheer, wrestling, and boys basketball all qualified for the New York State Public High School Student Athletics Association Scholar Athlete teams. This is calculated by taking 75% of the total roster and evaluating the average GPA for the second marking period. This winter, we had 154 rostered varsity athletes, with 102, which is 66%, earning a 90 or better GPA for the second quarter. Please visit our community page on the district website, where you can find links to information and activities to various groups that support our students. Upcoming events, March 26th, Andrew Muller Primary School and Laddie A. Decker Sound Beach School will have parent-teacher conferences. On March 27th, we'll have the Miller Place High School Variety Show. And March 30th, the North Country Road Middle School Spring Sports begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. I just have a couple of things from the board. Sometimes we do some advocacy work in the community, and I just want to let everyone know that we met with the whole board, met with Jane Bonner and Mr. Lasquadro. We were having a lot of concerns, and the community was having some concerns with the new Trader Joe's that was built, and also the Franklin's that's coming. We were concerned with the traffic patterns that were going to take place over there for our students. We have, there's a lot of traffic over there at certain times of the day. And I will say they were very cordial to us. We met with them, and they did inform us that the 2 roads, the access roads onto Miller Place Road, there were not going to be 2 exits. There was only going to be McDonald's exit. Everyone would be coming out of that. So that made us feel a little bit better. They also assured us that once Brinkman's opens and both businesses are open, that they're going to look again at the traffic patterns, and we're going to put a little bit of pressure on them to do another traffic study of the area, because it's going to get busy. But in the meantime, we really want to thank the town for having a partnership with us, and I think that's important going forward, that as more businesses come to Miller Place, that the concern and safety for our students, especially at that intersection where there's always an accident. So I just wanted to keep everyone up to date on that. Anyone want to add to that? Is it all there?
I just wanted to add that it was a very productive meeting. They reviewed with us what a Hamlet Center is and how it was actually designed and how it's existed for years. Because our concern was the amount of traffic that was going to come onto the road, and with regards to kids getting to school and the traffic patterns. And they did a very good job of explaining sort of the history of how things got to the way they are, and as a board, we were stating, as these things come, our concern is always going to be our schools and access to our schools and kids getting there safely. And I thought we collectively really got our message across, and I'm very happy with the reception in town, and very cordial as well.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to keep everyone up to date on is our superintendent search. Our resumes are all, it's closed, the window's closed, we've collected as many, we haven't collected them, the search firm has collected them, and they will be conducting interviews over the next 2 weeks. And then we should have the interviews ourselves the following 2 weeks, so I will keep you in the loop. I also want to congratulate our Panther players. They were spectacular. Everybody, oh my gosh, again, if you ever get a chance to come to one of our plays, you have to do it because they were just amazing. Every single one of them was amazing. So I want to personally congratulate them. And that's all I have. Anybody else have anything? We're good? All right. So on our agenda items, if you have any questions related to agenda items, please step up to the mic, state your name, and let us know your questions.
Jan Miller, Miller Place. I would like to ask first if there's any possible way that any files or documents relating to both the consent agenda and the board policies under review can be uploaded to the website at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. Once the consent agenda is approved, when they're uploaded late in the afternoon on the meeting day, I don't think most people have a chance to look at what it is you're actually approving. I know I don't. But I did get a chance to look really quickly before the meeting tonight, and my question is, I looked at the Scotts Point contract for what looks to be the end-of-year second grade moving up party. I just didn't understand, is that money that the PTO raises? Where did the funds for that party come from?
A lot of times the parents are funding those trips, so they'll contribute the amount that is needed for those trips.
Are they funding this one?
I wouldn't know that offhand. I'd have to go to the field trip forum to see that.
But you're approving the contract and the ability to sign that contract tonight.
Correct.
So who's paying for this?
It's more than likely the parents. I don't have the field trip information with me, though.
Okay, I feel like that should be clear before you approve this contract.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? All right, we did have a couple of donations, so thank you everyone who donated. I'm gonna need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion? Motion. The motion done?
I make a motion, second.
Jen Keller. I need a second. Second. Andrea, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay. Hi, Stephen. You're gonna tell us about the signature? All right. Going yours.
So here are a couple of questions.
Send them the mic.
Mike, sorry. So this week's leadership program continued trip to Boston. I personally went. The trip included visits to several historic sites as Mr. Lipsheet outlined, to the Freedom Trail, Boston Museum of Science, Stony Park, and Harvard Square. I think for most of us, though, the most memorable experience was definitely the annual reenactment of this 18th century Boston town hall meeting that we participated in. Our students took on the roles of columnists debating political issues in this giant historical auditorium. Basically, when you walked in, they handed you these cards. There were like 100 cards, and each of these cards, like a name on it, was like an entire speech. And then the debate topic was like whether we should hang the six people in the Boston Massacre. And so basically, it was like a play in like an auditorium like this. And like you stood up and then just like shouted these like arguments that they written down from like historical records. And then everybody would scream "Huzzah!" if you approved, or like "5." Just sort of it was hilarious. And so I thought it was a really engaging way to experience the history that we usually kind of only read in class. That was really magical. the drama department's production of The Little Mermaid also recently took place. It was the first school musical I personally attended, and yeah, it was like truly like mind blowing to see like how many moving parts came together, from like the acting and the music and the pit, the set design, the choreography, and like what the students and staff were able to accomplish in such a short period of time. It's just incredible. Like I was like, what like, how is this possible? So yeah, that was really amazing. Additionally, I know. So for something else, we visited the elementary school, I think last week. But also we had a field trip to the Michael Murphy Navy SEAL Museum, where we learned about the leadership service and the legacy of Navy SEALs, particularly Lieutenant Michael Murphy. Looking ahead, members of the Tryon Music Honor Society will also be attending a field trip to see the Broadway show maybe having an ending. I think in 2 weeks, giving students the opportunity to experience professional theater. And finally, spring sports have just begun this week, with practices starting only a few days ago for badminton, tennis, softball, baseball, track, and lacrosse. For me, tennis actually just started today, and it was with the snow that kind of seemed like never ending, super exciting to see teams finally getting back outside and getting in season. So that's all I got from my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you had a good time on the trip. Okay, we had one board committee meeting, and that was curriculum, and Jen Keller will report on that.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Keller, and I attended the curriculum meeting on February 12th. So our district continues to demonstrate an impressive commitment to interdisciplinary learning and community spirit. This is evident in our secondary students' connection to the Great Gatsby, to modern concepts of the American dream, and the business department's focus on real-world financial literacy. At the elementary level, students are engaging in hands-on STEM initiatives like the Long Island Explorium visit and highly successful district-wide STEM night, while also building character through events such as Peace Kindness Day and the Teddy Bear Clinic. I'm particularly excited about this collaboration effort that took place between the science departments of Shoreham Wading River School and Miller Place. The teachers met to try to meet the new standards for the science exams that have changed, and high school business students mentoring of young students in Lottie A. Decker. Our social studies and English department are deepening their global awareness through Holocaust remembrance, honoring veterans, and the growing seal of biliteracy program. The inclusion of the Anne Frank exhibit and guest speakers provides our students with a primary source connection to history that textbooks alone cannot replicate, reinforcing our district's commitment to student growth and ethical leadership. These programs allow our students to develop empathy and moral courage necessary to stand against injustice in an increasingly complex world. This dedicated focus on belonging ensures that we are supporting the development of compassionate citizens committed to fostering a respectful and inclusive society. Community bonds remain important, specifically the Friends of the Arts production of The Little Mermaid. Members of the production team include Ms. Phelps, Ms. Conyers, Mr. Hardy, Mr. B, Ms. Roberry, and Dr. Reinhardt. Community volunteers, there were so many great things happening with parents and so forth. I'd like to specifically thank Mr. Pasquale, who volunteers to build his sets every year, even though his kids have graduated already. And I'd also like to thank Miss Maletti, sorry, Miss Maletti and Miss Delaney. They made sure that the kids were fed and hydrated and the entire tech week. So the play is so awesome, and it's such a great event for all the kids. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jen. Okay, we're going to have our superintendent's proposed 26-27 budget presentation.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 26-27 Superintendent's Budget Presentation. So tonight, we're going to do a budget overview of revenues and expenditures. Then on March 25th, we'll do a budget review and budget adoption. On May 5th, we'll have our budget hearing. And then on May 19th, we'll have our budget vote, Board of Trustee election, and library contract. Here are some quick facts about the property tax levy cap. This tax cap is calculated based on a formula provided by the State Comptroller's Office. The tax levy represents the amount of money a school district needs to raise through taxes to balance its budget. The tax cap limits how much a school district can increase the total amount of property taxes it collects each year. If the district stays within the tax cap, just a simple majority is needed to pass the budget proposal. Exceeding the tax cap requires 60% of the voters to approve the budget proposal. And this year, the allowable property tax levy limit is 2.33 for the 26-27 school year, with the district levying to the tax limit. Here's a property tax levy cap history. For your information, this history also includes the rate of inflation, or CPI, and our actual calculated tax cap. One component of the calculation is the school district's levy can only grow by the lower of 2%, or the rate of inflation, CPI. The rate of inflation, or CPI, was 2.63% for this past year, which is above the maximum allowed CPI of 2% per the OSC formula. So the district is required to use 2% within the tax cap formula calculations for the upcoming school year. The OSC calculated cap for Miller Place is 2.33. For your information, this is the 5th year in a row that the actual rate of inflation has exceeded the 2% maximum that school districts are allowed to use in their tax cap calculations. Now let us review the required tax cap calculation. First, we start with the prior year tax levy of $53.7 million. We then add in our tax-based growth factor, which is 0.0021, which gives us 53.7. This number is assigned by the New York State Office of Real Property based on residential and commercial activity within our school district. We then subtract the BOCES capital exclusion for 25-26 of $81,000. We then subtract the debt service building aid for 25-26 of $1.8 million. This gives us our subtotal of $51.9 million. We then add our maximum allowed CPI factor, which from the prior slides I noted was 2%, which gives us approximately $1 million to add in. We then add the debt service minus the building aid for 26-27 of 1.9. We then add the BOCES capital exclusion for 26-27 of 84,000. We don't have any exclusion for the retirement systems this year. This then totals our allowable tax levy limit for the 26-27 school year at $55 million. And this presents a budget that's within the property tax levy cap limitation. Now let us review the projected revenue budget. We start with the calculated tax levy of $55 million. We then add in our projected state aid of $26.1 million. We add other income of $589,000. We are then using some reserves to offset some of the expense categories, including unemployment of approximately $50,000, workers' comp of $225,000, employers' retirement system of $800,000, and teachers' retirement system of $650,000. We're then applying fund balance of $2.67 million. We end up with a total budget of $86.17 million, or 1.31% increase. Here's a different view of the projected revenue sources to fund the budget. Property taxes make up 63%, state aid 30%. Our appropriated fund balance is 3%, while our reserves make up 2% and other revenues just under 1%. Regarding state aid, we have two main types of aid: foundation aid, which has been remained relatively flat at $16.7 million. Expense-driven aid is based on our actual spending and has some fluctuations each year. Overall state aid is projected at $26.1 million for next year. Here are some important state aid ratios that are used in state calculations for our district. The combined wealth ratio is the state's way of measuring how wealthy a school district is using two factors: the property wealth, the value of our property in our district, and the income wealth, income of people who live in our district. Our combined wealth ratio has increased to 0.956, which means that the district is overall slightly wealthier than last year. In short, it's a number that tells the state how much a district can afford to fund its own schools. Next, the special education ratio of 51.3 determines aid reimbursements that the district receives for their high-cost special education placement expenses in the following year. Our transportation aid ratio of 56.7 is determined our aid reimbursements for our transportation expenses as well in the following year. And then another expense-based aid is building aid, which is aided at 72.4% over the life of the project or bond. So here's a snapshot of the district's wealth as compared to the statewide average. Our combined wealth ratio is 0.956, which means that the district is overall slightly wealthier than last year. We have given some other school districts' combined wealth ratio for informational purposes only, so that you can see where we are as compared to some of the other districts. Next, I would like to review the fund balance and reserves. School districts are permitted to have certain specific reserves and retain up to 4% of its budget as unassigned fund balance. Miller Place currently has 6 reserves: Employee Benefits Liability Accrued Reserve, or commonly known as EBLR, Workers' Compensation, Retirement System reserves, including the Teacher's Retirement System and the Employer's Retirement System, Unemployment, and Insurance. The district for this year is projecting usage of $1.8 million, and for next year has projected increasing the usage, decreasing the usage to $1.7 million. The chart reflects our current balance, projected use for this year and next, and the ending balance if these reserves are not replenished. The district does try to replenish these reserves each year. So the superintendent is proposing an $86.17 million budget, or a 1.31% increase over last year. Now, the New York State Education Department requires all school districts to present their budgets using 5 standardized categories. These expense categories ensure consistency across all school districts. They reflect the major areas where school resources are allocated, from classroom instruction to district-wide operations and long-term financial obligations. The chart presents these 5 major expenditure categories, which are general support of 10%, instruction of 51%, transportation of close to 7%, and undistributed costs of 31.37%. To provide greater clarity on how district resources are used, the second chart organizes the proposed superintendent's budget by expenditure type. This view highlights the major cost drivers that support daily operations, instructional programs, and long-term financial commitments. Breaking the budget down in this way helps the community to understand the expenditure categories, which include salaries of 43%, benefits of 24%, equipment of under 1%, contractual of close to 16%, textbooks 0.18%, BOCES services of over 7%, debt service of 6.5%, supplies 1.21%, and interfund transfers of under 1%. With regard to instructional services, the superintendent is proposing a slight decrease of $177,000, or 0.4%, primarily driven by enrollment patterns and anticipated staff retirements. This instructional category represents the core of our educational program and includes general education, students with disabilities education, occupational education through BOCES, a variety of instructional support and educational services, as well as co-curricular services and athletic programs that enrich students' school experiences. With reference to enrollment, we are projecting a modest decrease to 2,235 students for the 26-27 school year. Even with this slight decline, the district is continuing to support the high levels of students with disabilities populations, English language learners, 504 accommodations, and free and reduced populations. For the 24-25 school year, the district had 44 elementary classrooms with class sizes ranging from 21.3 to 26.2. For the 25-26 school year, we have 44 elementary classrooms with class sizes ranging from 20.7 to 25.7. For the 26-27 school year, the district will be moving to 41 elementary classrooms overall. The AMP's average class size will range from 22.7 to 24.5, while the LADI average class size range will be from 24.5 to 26.8. Now, regarding occupational education, the superintendent is proposing to continue offering occupational education program opportunities to district students at BOCES sites. And we send our students to the afternoon programs due to travel times and to meet the graduation requirements. We also are continuing to support our co-curricular activities, clubs, and athletics. With regard to transportation services, the 26, overall this line is increasing $127,000 or 2.18%. And this will be the fourth year of our 5-year contract with our transportation vendor. Here's some statistics on transportation services. Again, the budget is 5.9. Our current state aid reimbursement ratio is 56.7%. So for every dollar that we spend, we get approximately 56 cents back for every dollar the following year. Currently, we have out-of-district students of 49 students that we send to 29 schools and with 13 matrons. In district, we have 33 students at the 4 schools with 1 matron. And then our current occupational education has 47 students at 2 schools. And current private and parochial, we have 41 students at 7 different schools that we're transporting. Now, with regard to undistributed, when we talk about undistributed costs, it's a term defined by New York State. We're referring to district-wide expenses that support the entire school system rather than one school or program. These are operational and financial obligations that allow the district to function day to day. These costs include all staff employee benefit costs, debt service costs for payments for past major building renovations and upgrades that were financed through bonds, tax anticipation notes, which are short-term borrowings that provide cash flow during the first half of the school year for the school district, and interfund transfers to cover the district's share of grant-funded programs. Here's a closer look at employee benefits. Overall, the line is increasing $624,000. This covers all benefit costs for every district employee, including health insurance, dental, life insurance, retirement system contributions, Social Security, and other mandated benefits. We have an overall reduction in the retirement system costs due to a lower TRS rate, but we also have an overall increase for health insurance due to an increase from our state insurance provider, NYSHIP. With regard to the retirement systems, when you look at these retirement system obligations, it's important to remember that New York State requires all eligible employees to participate in one of 2 public retirement systems. The first one is the ERS, is the Employers Retirement System, which covers most non-instructional staff, and TRS, the Teachers Retirement System, which covers instructional staff. Each year, the state sets contribution rates for both systems based on actuarial projections, investment performance, and long-term pension obligations. For this budget cycle, the ERS rate is increasing to 17.6 as compared to last year of 16.5, while in contrast, the TRS rate is decreasing to 8.75 from 9.59. Now, moving on to health insurance. When we look at health insurance expenses, the district participates in the NYSHIP program, or the New York State Health Insurance Program, which provides medical, hospital, and prescription coverage for public employees across the state. NYSHIP annually adjusts its premium rates based on statewide claims experience, medical inflation, and overall program costs. For the upcoming year, the school district's health insurance costs are projected to increase by approximately $886,000 or 6.9%. This increase reflects higher NYSHIP premium rates, required Medicare reimbursements for retirees, and declination payments for employees not utilizing our healthcare plan. Health insurance continues to be one of the cost drivers in the budget, as these rates are set at the state level and must be incorporated into our financial planning each year. With regard to debt service, overall debt service is projected at $5.6 million for our finance projects and for our tax anticipation note. Debt service payments on our bonds that we finance our major capital projects, such as our building additions and renovations, our infrastructure projects such as the air conditioning and ventilation projects. While tax anticipation notes are short-term borrowings that provide cash flow during the first half of the fiscal year. Now, to sum it up, here's the important dates that are up and coming. Board of Education candidate packets are available. Please contact the district clerk, Louise Trumba, to pick up a packet. The submission deadline for those packets is April 20th, 2026 at 5 p.m. On May 5th, we'll have our budget hearing at 7 p.m. And then on May 19th, we have our annual budget vote and Board of Trustee election at the North Country Road Middle School from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And does the board, Mr. Lipshy, do you want to speak?
Thank you, Mrs. Card, for that presentation and your hard work during the budget process. I also want to thank the building administrators who also contributed to creating this budget. We start with a projected budget based on this year, our services, and then look to roll them over, and then we look at the increases. And when you look at the increase that is allowable, and then you go to the slide at the very end where just health insurance in and of itself is just a little less than $900,000, there are other natural costs that have to go up. So we certainly had a gap when we started the budget process. In order to reduce those or reduce that gap to get under the cap, we looked at altering some of our initiatives. We looked at, maximizing our in-house staff as opposed to using outside staff. In calculating teacher retirements, if you notice there were some savings. We've had retirements. That being the case, whether you look at the elementary, where we had retirements, not replacing them allowed us now to, although class sizes did move up, one of the things we're able to do, and we had secondary retirements as well. We'll have 58 less students next year in grades 7 through 12. So we had some secondary retirements as well, which we're going to look to absorb and not replace. That being said, the goal of this budget was to maintain all our electives at the high school we had this year, all our field trips, all our student activities, all our student services, and to reduce as little staff as possible by doing that. So I don't know if the board has any questions for me and Mrs. Card regarding the budget. Just go up to the microphone if you do.
I was just wondering, how does this budget help to advance the district's strategic plan goals? I think you addressed a little bit, but if you want to go further.
Yeah, certainly. And I think when we look at the strategic plan, where it ends with the whole child, we wanted to make sure we were not going to reduce any, again, when we talk about rigor, electives at the high school, but the full experience for students, that we're not going to reduce field trips, we're not going to reduce student activities, and certainly student services for our most needy students would not be impacted either. So we're able to maintain all that in regards to moving that plan forward while having a budget under the cap.
Can you hear me? All right, thank you. First, I'd like to thank you for doing all of this work because my question is, so budget to budget from last year to this year, I mean, we're going up 2.33%. What is it?
That's the tax cap?
The tax cap is I'm sorry, I said budget to budget. The percentage is only going up 2.33%. So we are staying under the cap. And we are still maintaining, to Mr. Lipsky's point and to this point too, we are maintaining programmatically for the kids everything that we currently have. Yes?
That is correct.
Okay. And the rate of inflation, the current rate of inflation, the actual rate of inflation is higher than 2.33%. Okay.
Yes.
So unfortunately, what we have to do is we have to stay within in order to have a tax cap compliant budget, we have to rely on resources outside of what we get from our foundation aid in order to responsibly budget in order for this to take place. Considering healthcare costs, considering, what you had just shown, I'd like to say that thank you for doing this and thank you for keeping us where we're at with regards to the budget.
I have a question. You mentioned that at the grade 7 through 12, you'd be absorbing all of the teachers retiring through there's 55 less students. So I know 2 or 3 teachers are retiring at the high school. In particular, Ms. Dez for the music program. Are there any plans to hire another music teacher at the high school?
So I can't specifically talk about staffing, but we're not looking to reduce any music that students would be offered.
Okay, so curriculum-wise and the ensemble-wise, there would be no changes.
I'm sorry, what was that, Steve?
In terms of curriculum and ensembles at the high school, there wouldn't be any changes, right?
I'm not foreseeing any reductions.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? The public, if you have any questions?
Hello. So I guess I'm asking them, not you, correct? Okay.
If you don't like the question, we'll give it.
Yeah, I think it goes your way more often, as we witnessed this just a half hour ago. Okay. I think I don't think it's a big issue, but I would like to understand retiree medical reimbursements. How does this work? Because they have Medicare, and then I couldn't understand from the line that you had, how does it work in practice?
Sure. One of the requirements of the NYSHIP plan is that when a person has NYSHIP coverage becomes secondary and the Medicare becomes primary.
Correct.
So one of the things that we're required to do per NYSHIP rules is reimburse the Medicare Part B component for those employees who take retiree health insurance.
Yeah, but what does it mean, reimburse Medicare Part B component? Because how you define that?
It's defined by, we get a copy of their 1099 SSA, which tells us exactly the amount that we have to reimburse to them.
Right, but, okay, sorry, may I ask? Because it's not really clear to me how numbers work, because actually I'm on Medicare myself, so I think I hope I can understand. Because Medicare has premiums, right?
Yes.
So is that being reimbursed also?
Just the Medicare Part B premium. There's other premiums that are not reimbursed.
Okay, and then there is an unreimbursed portion.
We don't reimburse anything other than Part B.
Part B premiums or also unreimbursed?
Medicare Part B premiums are the only thing that are reimbursed.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That's NYSHIP rules.
And sorry, but are these like the basic in tier one premiums, or these are premiums however much they pay?
It doesn't have anything to do with tiers. It just has to do with how much they paid for Part B. So whatever you paid for Part B is the amount that we would reimburse you if you were our prior employee and yet you took health insurance.
Okay, I think that concludes it. Thank you, and we'll go back up to the stage.
I just want to thank Colleen and Mr. Lipshy and all the administrators for putting in all that effort and time and making the very best budget we can make and staying under the tax cap. That is, I don't know if everybody really understands that. It's hard to do some years, and yet we do it consistently every year. Because our promise to you guys is always to be fiscally responsible as much as we can. There's a lot of unfunded mandates. And really, they do a great job of keeping our programs for our kids without cutting any of the programs. And to us, that is top priority. Programs extra. We have tons of clubs at every level of our schools. We run, even though people think we don't run a lot of programs at the high school AG classes, we run a lot for the number of students that we have. We have a lot of programs that are in conjunction with the local universities. And it's really, really important that we maintain those programs for our kids and our community. So thank you again. Okay, so we don't have anything in discussion and action, but we have some board policies in first time reading. We have some board policies in review, and we do have about 8 in action that we have to vote on tonight. So I need a motion for those board policies that are in action.
Make a motion.
Brian, I need a second.
Second.
John, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Next is our public be heard. You can come up to the mic, you have 2 minutes, please state your name, community member, non-community member, and we follow policy 1440 for public complaints about district personnel, in which we discourage complaints or criticisms at public meetings. So if you'd like to come up to the mic, please do so now. Okay, we are going to go back into exec session for personnel matters and legal matters, so I'm going to need a motion for it.
Made a motion.
I need a second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Thank you for coming. Good night.